Hello viewers, welcome once again to this channel, Joe Mwai's channel, a channel whose aim is to focus our mind upon the things that are not seen by the five common senses. Things that we know exist, or things that we know we believe are there because of the effect of what we see around us. And this is what is regarded as metaphysics. So metaphysics is simply the study of those things that are not perceived by the five common senses, the things that we cannot see. For example, intelligence. We cannot see intelligence, but we see the effect of intelligence all over us. Thought. We cannot see thought, but we see the effect of thought. Truth, reality, existence, all those things are things that we cannot see, but we see their effects. And as a result of that, we know that they are there. So this is what this channel is about. It is a channel that wants to try and probe you listeners or fellow listeners into thinking out of the box, trying to understand reality from a different perspective. And I believe that a time has come when civilization has so advanced to the extent that we can be able to reason out in a way that our previous generations have not been able to reason out. But this is something that was started so many years ago. It is something that I believe that originated from from Jesus Christ, who brought in a doctrine that appeared to be at loggerheads with the doctrine that had been given to the children of Israel, whereby he stated that he has come to regraft the Gentiles to the true vine. And this doctrine, if, for those who are Christian oriented, we all know that it was very difficult to a point where the disciples of Jesus did not fully comprehend it, to a point where we are told that when he ascended back into heaven, he came back in the spirit and gave this doctrine to Paul, and this will be found in my previous videos. So Paul was then taken into the wilderness, although again we hear through the Bible that Paul was considered in Rome to be one of the most educated people, yet he had to stay for 3 years, or to be taken into the wilderness in the desert for a period of 3 years in order to be given this discipline by the Holy Spirit, as the story goes. And today I regard Paul as the father of modern metaphysics. So he brought this doctrine, a doctrine that he thought he could sort of pass it on to the disciples, make them to understand it, and then they would all take the gospel now to the whole world. But we see again in the Bible, in the book of 2 Peter, when Paul went and found Peter, and Peter was with Luke, and Luke was a physician, therefore he was very educated, and tried to pass on the doctrine to them. Peter did not comprehend it, and in fact we see Peter saying that the things that Paul is talking about are things that are difficult to comprehend and things that may be wrongly used. So then from there we see Paul again take the doctrine to the Gentiles. And where does he take the doctrine? We've seen it in the previous videos. He took it to Greece. And the reason, in my perspective, is that 400 years before Christ, Socrates had come up with a doctrine, philosophy, which tended to question on reality in what we call critical thinking. And I believe that Paul, being a Roman citizen and one of the most educated people there, had studied the philosophy. And as a result of that, he had realized that this new doctrine that Jesus had brought bore solutions to a lot of questions that that philosophy, or the philosophy of the time, could not sort of provide, or questions that the philosophy of the past could not answer. And as a result of that, he found it easy to go back to Rome, to Greece, all the cities that we see in the Bible, in the New Testament, that he visited, including Philippia, including Galatia, including Corinth and all that, where he gave this doctrine. And therefore, this is what this doctrine is about. So today I will talk a bit about Paul and the doctrine that he was given. We know that when Paul took this doctrine, we see in the book of Romans chapter 7, how he himself struggled with this doctrine, up to a point he's saying that the things that I want to do, those I do not find myself doing, and the things that I do not want to do, those I find myself doing. And then he goes on to say, what a wretched man I am, who will save me from this body of death. And what that implies is that the things that he did not want to do but found himself doing were things that related to the material sense of the body. And the things that he did not want to do, he wanted to do things that related to spirituality, because he goes ahead to say that I find that there are two laws, with one law being the law of mind, or the law of the spirit, and the other law, the law that serves the members of the body. He continued to say that these laws are at loggerhead with each other, by saying that the law of that serves the members of the body wages war against the law of the spirit. And as a result of that, we can then, or we are able to sort of dichotomize and to separate the two laws, and to understand that these two laws could not have originated from the same sort of lawgiver. For example, the law of the spirit and the law that serves the members of the body. The law of the spirit, if the two laws were given by the same lawgiver, then it would imply a house divided against itself, as Jesus stated, which he stated that it cannot stand. And therefore, it would imply, from now a metaphysical perspective, that the members, this law that serves the members of the body, is a law that is alien to the law of the spirit. And as we may now dissect the meaning of the members of the body, we know very well, dear listeners, that the members of the body constitutes of the five common sense: the sense of sight, the sense of sound, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, and the sense of touch. So these five common senses are the major senses that constitutes of the body. And that shows that the body itself, which is a constitution of those members, then do not originate. Now, from a metaphysical perspective, do not originate from the same lawgiver that gives the law of the spirit. Now, that is now the aspect where now metaphysics is actually considered as a bit weird. But it's not weird. It's that actually aspect of our understanding, is our aspect of looking, is our aspect of reasoning, because the Bible itself says that God is telling us, come, let us reason together. So, and also to test all the spirits. So, up to where we are as very intelligent beings, and with the kind of civilization that we are in today, the advancements that we see today, we are able to understand a lot of things. A very good example is the fact that many years ago, people believed, and even those educated believed, that the earth was the center of the universe, and that everything else, including the moon, including the stars, and everything else revolved around the earth. It is not until the advent of Copernicus, who came up after observing the moons of Jupiter, he came up with a theory that the earth may not be the center of the universe. And even though he felt so strongly about that, based on the experiment that he did, he did not give that theory he did not expose himself. He actually gave the theory unanimously for fear of the repercussion from the Christian on the implication of that finding. And it's not until about 300 years that we see another scientist or astronomer, Galileo Galilei, come with all the brevity and openly supported Copernicus' theory over 300 years after the theory had been proposed by Copernicus. And as a result of that, stating that the earth is not the center of the universe and that everything do not revolve around the earth, including the moon, the stars, and the sun itself. Copernicus was actually, Galileo Galilei was taken to the courts and was forced to recant. And we see that even as he came out of the court, he actually stated that he doesn't anyway. And as a result of that, he was excommunicated from the church. He was put under house arrest for 8 years until his death. And this is now because of that belief. But supposing that we still believe that the earth is the center of the universe, how strange that would be, how wrong that would be. So we must be able to always keep an open mind and try to understand things from a different perspective. And this is what this channel is about. So Paul, when he was given this doctrine, he went and preached it mostly to the Greeks, to all the cities of Greece. And as a result, the gospel, as we see in the Bible, spread like wildfire. But then there is something that is very crucial, that is very, very important, something that we need to consider. And this is the effect that this new doctrine had on the Roman Empire. And remember, 400 years before Christ and up to the time of Christ, the Roman Empire ruled all over the world, especially Europe. So they ruled the world. And as a result of that, they were very wary of any kind of rule or doctrine that would come to threaten their rule. So we will look in the next video on the effect that this had and what really happened. But for now, I would say continue to subscribe to this channel, continue to like this channel, continue to recommend this channel to friends, family, and anybody you think that may want to hear this doctrine. Let's keep an open mind, ask questions, make your comments, and let us all come together and reason together. In the meantime, adios, amigo.